Hi, my name is Ken, and this video is called How to End Depression and Achieve Mind-Blowing Happiness. And yes, I am serious. To start with, there's only one way a person can achieve happiness, and it's the same way that a person can end his or her depression, which is that he or she becomes naturally happy. What I mean when I say naturally happy is that he or she naturally feels good, feeling emotions as he or she goes about his or her day, just as a depressed person naturally feels bad feeling emotion as he or she goes about his or her day. In psychology, they have what is called set point theory, which is a belief that how happy a person is in life is predetermined at birth, and how happy a person will be in his or her life will pretty much stay the same. Fortunately, set point theory is wrong because it is completely possible for a person to change how he or she naturally feels emotionally to the point where he or she is naturally happy. A person can even achieve what I call the day-long orgasm, where he or she feels so good emotionally and physically that it feels as good as an orgasm. He or she just won't feel it as strong, nor will he or she have involuntary muscle contractions. And being that a person's emotions vary from day to day, he or she will feel it most of the time, but not all of the time. I am sure that you have the question, how does a person become naturally happy? And to understand this, you need to understand how the mind works. How the mind works is the same way that the physical universe works, which is that everything is working to achieve balance all the time. Remember Star Trek, what had what is called the Prime Directive? Well, it appears that the physical universe also has a prime directive, which is that everything will work to achieve balance all the time. And this is especially true when it comes to how we naturally feel emotionally. If you take how a person felt emotionally for the last several years and average it out, what you will then have is what is normal for him or her to feel emotionally as he or she goes about his or her day. The trick to becoming naturally happy is for a person to feel good feeling emotions, and over time his or her mind will achieve balance with the good feeling emotions. Thus he or she becomes naturally happy. I must caution you that this needs to be done without drinking alcohol or doing drugs, because the whole balance thing will work in reverse, where the mind will work to make the person depressed again. The reason why the advice that the gurus give to end people's depression does not work is not because they give bad advice, because they almost always give good advice, but rather the reason why their advice does not work is because the temporary good feeling that people get from following their advice is not enough to affect any real change on how a person naturally feels emotionally. It is like trying to saw down a big oak tree with a nail file. It's just not happening. For a person to change how he or she naturally feels emotionally, he or she will need to hit his or her mind with enough good feeling emotions so that a change in how he or she naturally feels emotionally does occur. There are 3 steps a person will need to take to become naturally happy. And the first step is for the person to minimize the bad feeling emotion that he or she feels as he or she goes about his or her day. The second step is for the person to maximize his or her enjoyment in life. However, it is unlikely that both the first and second steps will even end a person's depression, much less change how he or she emotionally to where he or she is naturally happy. It's the third step, which I call emotional upscaling, that makes mind-blowing happiness possible. The first step to achieve mind-blowing happiness is to minimize bad feeling emotion. Hate, anger, fear are synonymous with depression. The more that you feel any of these things, the more depressed you will become. So you want to make sure that you do not feel any of these 3 things. Being around people who let out bad energy is all that is needed for you to become depressed. If you are depressed, a thing you can try is taking a vacation where there are few people around. Avoid sociopaths and psychopaths. Being stressed out. People are far more stressed out than they think they are. Change perspective so work is enjoyable. Think about what you are doing is benefiting mankind. Change perspective so you're no longer upset about what you do not have, but rather fantasize about getting it. This is good for both non-relationship things and if you are not in a relationship, forgetting that awesome person. Believing that the law of attraction will bring the person to you. When things do not go your way, you do not unknowingly produce bad feeling emotion in your mind so that what you feel emotionally feels as bad as what you are experiencing is negative. You should pay attention to what you think because emotions follow thought. Be aware of what is causing bad feeling emotion and taking care of it. The second step to achieve mind-blowing happiness is to have pleasurable experiences. Make plans to do things that are pleasurable and look forward to doing them. When doing things that are pleasurable, get all negative thoughts out of your mind, slow down the voice in your head, and fully take in what you're experiencing so that you fully enjoy it. Stop your mind from distorting around it, such as only seeing what is negative about the person you are with, but rather see what is positive about the person so that you experience the happiness that you should experience when you are with the person. This third step to achieving mind-blowing happiness is to do what I call emotional upscaling. In a book that I've written called Pathway to Nirvana, a how-to book on how to achieve extreme happiness. This book right here. Let me see. I call emotional upscaling nirvana processing, but it is still the same thing. To do emotional upscaling, imagine what will feel really good and allow the good feeling that comes with what you imagine to naturally come over you. And hold the feeling and then effortlessly enjoy the good feeling. Hold the good feeling emotion and take breaks from holding it at intervals that feel right to you. Can be from seconds at a time to minutes at a time. It is okay for your thoughts to wander, but what is best is to let your thoughts wander on things that make you feel good emotionally while you continue to effortlessly enjoy the good feeling that you have been feeling. Each time you take a break from feeling the emotion, how you naturally feel emotionally should feel better than the way the emotion felt during the previous break. And when each break no longer feels better than the last break, then it means that you have reached the limit of the benefit that you can get from the emotional upscaling session, and you should effortlessly enjoy the good feeling emotion that you are now feeling and then process again the next day. Too much of a good thing is a bad thing, and each day that goes by you should naturally feel better emotionally than you felt the last day. But if each day you start to feel worse emotionally than the last day, or even worse, you become depressed, then you should take a break from doing the emotional upscaling. A break can be anywhere from a day to 2 weeks. During your break, you should feel the gains that you made from doing the emotional upscaling come back to you. And that will be a good time for you to do the emotional upscaling again. The process that I have just given is a beginner's process. It teaches you how to feel good feeling emotion, but ultimately you want to move away from sitting down and focusing on feeling good feeling emotion and instead do emotional upscaling on autopilot, where it is done effortlessly and automatically by the mind, just as with breathing and walking. 2 ways to do emotional upscaling on autopilot is throughout the day so you feel good emotion as you go about your day, and second way is to do emotional upscaling, where you are doing something that's pleasurable. So you bump up how you feel emotionally to where you feel really high. The first step in day-long emotional upscaling is to periodically check in to see what you are doing with your mind, to see if you're doing anything such as thinking negative thoughts, having negative perspectives, unknowingly producing bad feeling emotion that you feel, and having thoughts racing through your mind that blocks you from feeling good feeling emotions. What you want to do is remember the thoughts that you thought in the past, that when you thought the thoughts, you felt a good feeling emotion. It would probably be something along the lines that if you had the experience that you are thinking about, you would fully feel the good feeling that you are only partially feeling now. You want to think one of the thoughts that produces a good feeling emotion in your mind. But now what you want to do is create like an open space in your mind for the good feeling emotion to move into, so you fully feel the good feeling emotion. When you feel the good feeling emotion, you then want to intentionally fully enjoy the good feeling emotion. And then what you want to do is you're fully enjoying the good feeling emotion from where you were putting forth mental effort to enjoy the good feeling emotion to where you're enjoying it is done effortlessly, just like enjoying sex is done effortlessly. Your mind is set up to do things on autopilot, so you want to train your mind to automatically think thoughts that have a good feeling attached to them. Feel the good feeling and enjoy the good feeling, and do this all effortlessly as you go about your day. When you train your mind to automatically do this correctly, what will happen is just about every day as your day progresses, you will naturally feel better and better emotionally to where you naturally feel really good. Being that everyone is different, you want to experiment around with doing different versions of this process. Follow your instinct, because your instinct will probably be right. If you get a good feeling emotion thinking about a fantasy, you should never feel bad about not experiencing the fantasy, but rather believe that through the law of attraction, all the tools and all the circumstances you need to experience the fantasy will present themselves, so that one day you will experience the fantasy and feel good about knowing this. With peak experience emotional upscaling, the emotional upscaling is done on autopilot and effortlessly. Where your mind focuses in on the good feeling that you get from doing what you enjoy, so that the good feeling becomes stronger. This process is based on the fact that what you focus your attention on becomes stronger. Another thing to mix in is to take the good feeling that you are feeling and put forth mental effort to bump up how good you are feeling. This is done by your mind putting forth mental effort so that how you feel emotionally feels slightly better than what you were previously feeling emotionally. And focus your attention and take breaks from focusing your attention at intervals that feel right to you. At each break, you should feel better emotionally than you did during your last break. So you recalibrate what feels slightly better than you are currently feeling and put forth mental effort to feel that. And you have your mind do this automatically, where you do not think about it, so that your mind stays fully in the moment and you fully take in what you are enjoying. When one feels good from something that is pleasurable, sometimes all it takes is just a little push and he or she will be high out of his or her mind. Music and music videos are good for peak experience emotional upscaling, because you not only feel good from the music itself, but you can enjoy it even more by creating an open space in your mind for the good feelings to move into, so you fully enjoy the good feeling emotions. You can enjoy the good feeling emotions even more by pumping up how good you feel emotionally. And you can also fantasize and feel the good feeling emotion that comes with what you fantasize about. And these things combined should be enough for you to get high out of your mind. A good idea is to set some time aside each day so that you get high out of your mind from a peak experience without drinking alcohol or doing drugs. Over time, how you naturally feel emotionally will achieve balance with the good emotions that you feel from the peak experience. So how you feel during the peak experience will become what will be normal for you to feel as you go about your day. A good goal to have is to become good at feeling good emotionally as you go about your day, and especially during peak experiences, so that how you normally feel emotionally achieves balance with the good feelings that you feel, so that you achieve the day-long orgasm.